Mercedes Johnson, Talent Acquisition Consultant.
Thank you. Now, Mercedes, you recently became kind of infamous for a post that you put up on social media. I just offered a candidate $85,000 for a job that had a budget of $130K. I offered her that position because that's what she asked for, and I personally don't have the bandwidth to give lessons on salary negotiation. Here's the lesson. Always ask for the salary you want or deserve. No matter how large you think it might be, you never know how much money a company has to work with. So what was your intent behind that post?
So my intent behind that post was to just share a little bit of a conversation that I had with the candidate in order to encourage other people to take ownership of their interview process.
Okay. And what was the situation, as much detail as you can give behind the situation that was happening with this candidate?
So basically, I was talking with a candidate that I felt was very qualified for the position, and she expressed to me kind of like what her goals were in her salary and told me exactly what she wanted to make. And I decided to meet her at that point, just based on her experience and everything. I decided to meet her at that point.
Is that something normal that happens within your line of field of someone will give what they think that they're worth and you either meet them at their point or exceed them?
Yes, that's very normal in this industry.
Okay. Why did you thought it was important to post this on social media?
So it was a normal thing that I do every week on my personal Facebook page. I always post little tips and tricks for anybody to understand how the interview process works and how to be best ready for the jobs that they are trying to interview for.
What's normally the responses that you get on the posts that you normally
Good responses. Great responses.
Can you go a little bit into the responses that you got on this particular post?
So I have multiple people that will DM me or want further assistance or comment asking further questions about like what I post, just that they can personally be ready based off of what I've shared with them.
And what happened this time that you posted?
So when I posted it this time, I was on my lunch break and I decided to go back to work. And within 2 hours, I had went viral because somebody had shared it and put it on Twitter. And so I don't know what happened because everything happened so fast, but I know it got crazy quick.
Do you remember some of the responses that you received?
It was pretty much all hate, just like saying that I lowballed the candidate, and some people even assumed that the candidate was black, which I never stated that. It was just all negative.
Okay. Out of some of those misconceptions about what happened, what was the most disturbing responses that you got that were just untruthful about the entire situation?
I think the most disturbing responses were the ones that were irrelevant, just about like what color she was and that I lowballed her, and just responses that I got of people attacking me and my family and putting my address on social media, just like responses that weren't even relevant to the actual post. I always welcome commentary. That's why I didn't take down any of my social medias. I didn't take down my website or anything because I am okay with things being controversial, but I don't appreciate the attacking.
Can you go into a little bit about explaining what exactly your job as a talent acquisitions person is?
So there's a lot of different fancy words just to say that I'm a recruiter. Some in the industry, you kind of maybe start off as a recruiter or a talent acquisition specialist. So you're basically just going out and finding candidates for these jobs or these roles. Kind of like what I do is I more of assess candidates in like a more deeper way, looking at their qualifications, looking at what they can do, and kind of just consulting with the company on basically who they should hire and why, at what price point, things like that.
Now, one of the main points of what happened and what you posted was salary negotiation. We hear all the time about you should negotiate your salary and state what you're worth. But can you give a little bit of expertise on how important is it to negotiate your salary, and what are some factors that you should include when you're thinking about should you go way higher or medium higher, or whatever it may be, with trying to determine how much you should counter the company?
So I think it's important to understand what industry you're in to kind of understand how to negotiate your salary. So it's all about what you've been doing over your career, what type of schooling you have, if any, what is your work ethic like, what is your drive like, have you done any management, what do you feel like you're going to bring to the company. And so that's the things that you should kind of understand when it comes to salary negotiation. You should be looking at a company's revenue. What did they pay the last person that was in that specific job? Because you can look that up. You can look it up on the internet. And all of those things that are things that you should know before you do your interview.
Now, you just touched on something very important that we've started discussing as Black professionals, and that's knowing what the other person was making. Sometimes we feel like that we can't do that, but what is your expertise or your thoughts on contacting the last person that was in that job and to see what they were making to try to make a better decision?
So not necessarily like contacting anybody or knowing who specifically was working there before you, but I think doing your research to get a median of what that company has been paying for that specific role, getting just like a ballpark of what the company pays for every role. And it kind of gives you a little bit of understanding about what you can ask for. Also, looking up the company culture is huge too, because it's not just about pay. You can go to a job every day and have the best pay, but still quit if you hate the job. Well, I've had candidates before where we would get on the phone and they would ask me immediately, like, what is your range for the position? Or what is this position looking to pay? And I love those type of questions. And I'll be upfront, kind of about where we're looking at, or I'll counter and say, well, what are you wanting? And they would tell me, and I would say, okay, well, you're kind of like at the top of what we have, or you're in the middle. I'm able to communicate things like that. And so I like when candidates come saying, hey, this is what I need. This is because of these certain things. And you can sell yourself. All of this is selling yourself. I didn't really realize how strong of a monster social media actually is. People can post whatever they want to post, but social media has a way of, let me just get on the bandwagon with what other people think and say, and let me just attack this person, and let's all group up together and attack this person. And so I was kind of shocked and mostly shocked at the fact that people thought that the candidate was Black. I don't even know what the candidate is. And there's certain things that are shielded from recruiters for that specific reason. We don't know what color people are. Some recruiters don't even get the opportunity to see their candidate face to face. Like in that position, I didn't. And so I think the hugest misconception for me is that I don't like Black people. I'm Black. I love Black people. I love all races, So that was kind of like the first thing, is that I think we need to do better with not ganging up on things that we don't like.
In regards to that, you touched on something that I wanted you to kind of express, because as someone who's gone viral, you do get attacks just from any and everybody. Were you aware of how to kind of post on social? Now, mind you, someone else posted this from your Facebook to Twitter, but are you aware of the Twitter securities that you can put in place to protect yourself from that type of response in the future?
No, I wasn't aware of that. And I'm kind of in a position where I'm like, shame on these platforms where it's like, there's certain things that I'll even post that are just maybe controversial to certain political views or whatever, and I will get thrown out. My posts will get thrown out or whatever. But it's like I literally had people posting my address on Twitter and saying things like, we're going to drop hate mail at her front desk or whatever. And the posts are still up today. And so that's a little shocking to me. And I do believe that there is some awareness that needs to come to how you can protect yourself on these social media platforms, because I don't believe that anybody should stop saying the things that they feel like they need to say. I just think people need to understand that everything that's posted, they might not like.